Hello, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about creating an instant GraphQL engine on top of your Postgres database, or creating a new Postgres database and using GraphQL. And the cool part about this is it takes minutes, and you do not have to code any resolvers. You do not have to code any type definitions, any schemas. It's really cool. And I recently discovered this, and I started using it myself. This is Hasura. It's at hasura.io. Now, it's deployed in a Docker container, or you can deploy it on Heroku or any of these services. But let's go on my local machine with a Docker container. If you go into the docs up here, you're gonna go to the deploying tag. We're gonna be using Docker to do this. The prerequisites, obviously, is that you have Docker installed on your machine. If you don't, please get that. And then I'm using Windows in this case, and since I'm pinging the Postgres database on my machine, it's recommended that you have Postgres on your computer, but if you want to ping a remote one, that's fine too. You can do that. So we're going to go down here, and I'm going to run this Docker run command. So I already have this Docker run command here. I already have this in Notepad, and I replaced the credentials with my own for my local machine. So you're going to have the Postgres, and you're going to have the host and the password, and then I have to put docker.forwin.localhost to ping my localhost Postgres instance. And there's instructions down here for everybody, Linux, Mac, and Windows. So if you have a Mac or a Linux, you can refer to this. But if you have Windows, just use the same reference that I'm using for my localhost right here. 5432, the port, and then the database that you want to attach to. So obviously we're going to need to put this in the command line. So I have my bash here. If I just copy this, paste it over, and if I run this, it's going to pull the latest image. I already have it downloaded on my computer, but if you don't, it will download it automatically for you, and it should run the container. If you run a ps command to see what's running, I can see that Hasura is running on 8080 right now. If you did something wrong and got one of these credentials wrong, then it won't run, and you'll know. So just make sure you got your credentials right, and that if you're connecting to a remote database, the firewall rules aren't blocking you, and everything looks good. So this is for Postgres. That's it. It's for Postgres database. So if you're determined and you like Postgres and you're used to it and you want to turn it into a GraphQL, then I recommend using this. So let's go to localhost 8080. And as you can see right away, we have a console to work with. Our endpoint is up here, localhost 8080 v1 GraphQL. Now the cool part about this is we don't have to use directives or create this. Creating stuff in code is obviously really cool and it's fun to do, but you can do everything here visually. So I already have a couple things going on in here, but for the sake of this tutorial, let me show you what's going on. Okay, so my public database, I have a users table, a post table, and a comments table. Inside the users table, if you click on the table that you're interested in up the top, you can insert a new row, you can modify the table, you can check the relationships and the permissions. If we go to modify, you can see what's going on. I have 3 columns set. I have an ID, which is my primary key, and it's auto-incrementing. And I have a username and an email field here as well. I have unique keys down here, so these are only unique values. So let's just create a table for fun together just to show you how this works. If you go to add table, we can call this one messages. Yeah, messages plural, that's fine. ID, and then you put the column type, No default value. Let's make it unique. And we'll do a subject on there with a text type. And by the way, this supports all of the data types that you need, um, including JSON-B, which is really cool because you can target keys inside of a JSON object inside of a Postgres column, which is very powerful. So just basic, I have 3 fields on here. And then it prompts you for a primary key if you want, put a primary key. And then you can add foreign keys where you can link this to another table. So if I wanted to reference a table, let's say I wanted to reference users, and I wanted to link the ID with user ID. I could, I would have a field in users for like messages, and if I wanted to link that, I could link it there, and that would link it. And then if you add the table, it'll create the table. Just like that. If you go to pgadmin and you open up public and you go to tables, we have our messages table right here. I have these tables. Users post is a link table, a joiner table. ID, user ID, and post ID. It'll link the user to the post. Let's explore some of the mutations and queries that this thing offers right out of the box. Remember, we did not set up a server. This is from scratch. We opened up the Docker container, ran it. We're running the console in our window, our browser window now. We haven't done a thing with resolvers or queries or any of that stuff. The way this works is it's storing all your queries and resolvers, mutations in these fields right here, from what I understand. I don't know the details, but it just compiles down your GraphQL queries into efficient SQL queries. So in that aspect, it's really fast, and as opposed to like Prisma is a little different. You have to build all your resolvers and mutations and queries on the server. But here we don't even have a server. We're just hitting a Docker container, and it's a really light footprint too. Supposedly it's really efficient. So let's take a look at what we got here. We have our mutations over here. Insert users. Insert user posts. So if we want to insert a user, we can go here. Insert posts. You have all your stuff over here that you need to delete, update, and insert. And then we have queries as well, and we have our subscriptions ready to go. So everything right out of the box is ready to go. And if you go over here, it tells you what keys are untracked, your relationships under the data tab. If you hit track all, it will register all the relationships for you and create the necessary connections. So now if we go to mutations, this should let me create a post or connect a post to a user as well when I create a user. So let's play around with some stuff really quick. We'll do a few things here, and then I'll show you how easy it is to just ping this from a React app client in the next little piece. So we're going to insert posts on the objects item, and we're going to put in the title. This is a new post, and then the body of a post. Let's get back the returning. We're going to get back the ID, title, and the body. Okay, so we built a new post, this ID number 2, so we already have one in the database as well. Now let me show you something here. We can even connect this post, I believe, to a user like this. And then we're going to put, hold on one second. I didn't do that right. There we go. and we're going to put data. And now we're going to attach a user ID of 1 because we already have a user in our database. Now down below, when you're getting stuff back, you can get back users posts. Get back a post. You can get back the information for that post. Body. So, or you know what? We're already getting back the post. So let's get back to user. We're going to get back the ID, the username, and the email. Bam. Just like that. We've created a link. We've inserted a post right here, and then we're getting back the user and all the information for that user. And we didn't have to set up a single bit of code, any configuration on the server, anything like that, because we don't have a server, remember? So that's basically how this works. You can make all your, you can create all your data in here, or even if you have an existing schema, you can just pull it up and then try to track all the tables in there, and then it will try to create all the queries and mutations. I've tried it with one already, and it was built with Prisma, and I tried to introspect it here, and it didn't work the way that it did before. But with this, I've achieved. It's easier for me to see the visual, like creating of the tables and the relationships and the foreign keys, than it is to use the directives, especially if you need like a three-way relationship. I find that Prisma is an awesome tool, but it lacks in a few areas with relationships, and also the you can't target specific keys in JSON B columns, but with this you can. So that's how you set this up and get it running. We have a GraphQL server running right now on port 8080 at v1/GraphQL. We can literally ping this with our application without having to run any servers. So let's dive into that right now. Okay, so now I'm running just a basic Apollo client. As you can see here, an Apollo client with an Apollo provider, and my endpoint to hook up to my Hasura engine, GraphQL engine, is going to be my local host, and it's running on port 8080. And then the v1/GraphQL is what I'm going to use to hook up to that endpoint. And if you go through these documentations, they're pretty decent. They have everything that you need to know about any of this information that I'm showing you as well. So I encourage you to check these out if you're interested in using Hasura after this video. So it's running on my local machine right now. I have it running on localhost port 3000. This is create racked app. So I have no server set up. It's just running on my machine, and it's pulling the information from this endpoint. And just to prove that I'm pulling the information from my endpoint, I have a small little query down here in the Apollo Dev Tools. If you go to graphical, you can ping this endpoint that you have in your application. So if I hit that, I get back that user that we created over in the console, the Hasura console. So it's working. So the data is getting pulled in from the source, and we can perform queries, mutations, all that fun stuff. So let's use this for a minute. Let me show you what a mutation would look like on the client. So if we're going to insert, we have all of our mutations here, posts, comments. So let's insert a post on the objects type, and then what was it? We have the title, new post. We have the body, which which is, we'll put post body. And now let's see something here. Okay, let's just build this really quick. Returning, we're gonna get back the title, the body, and the ID. So now we have a post in our database. We know that we're pinging the endpoint right now from our client. So we can even do a query over here if we want. This is our app component. I just have this small little Hasura playground thing set up. I have these. Let's unhighlight these really quick. So we're going to use query. The hook, by the way, I have a video on the use query Apollo React hook, and I have a video on the use mutation Apollo React hook as well. If you want to check that out, I'll leave links to that in the description. So let's just get the users, plural. Even though we only have one right now, I think. And it's just as easy as, just querying the same exact query that you would put in the console down here. Users. Let's get back the ID. Sometimes that's autocomplete works against you. ID, username, and email. If we go down here. I always set these up just to catch any errors, or if it's loading, it can't be ready, so it will return something for the loading status. But we should get data back from this, so let's just dump it to the console really quick and see what happens. And there we go. We got our users, our user singular. So I think this is pretty amazing that we have no server set up, and we're able to ping this engine right here, and it handles everything. And then if you look over in your database, you'll see that right here, the HDB catalog and the HDB views is what handles your queries and compiles them down so that you get your information back using GraphQL. And that's basically how Hasura works. If you were to compare Hasura versus Prisma, so far from what I understand is Hasura involves a lot less configuration, and it still gives you all the CRUD operations, and they're more detailed and you can do more. They're more powerful. Prisma, you have to set up the type definitions in GraphQL, but you do have, and you have to set up the resolvers, but you do have all of the resolvers on the server for the Postgres layer already created for you. They're both really cool tools. I just wanted to show you how quick and easy you can get a GraphQL server running on top of Postgres literally instantly in minutes. It's really awesome. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel if you like my content. I try to release a video every week and keep it fresh. If you have any comments or any feedback, it's greatly appreciated. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and thank you for watching. See you next time.